We're back discussing where to build the Magee Elementary School and what properties are actually fit the criteria to be available. I know that one area that a lot of people in Magee have talked about is, why don't you build it near the high school? We have property around that area. Now, we do. We've got fire close, we've got the policeman close, we've got a person who's willing to give 4.5 acres down there. We've got a condemned building down there. Why does that not meet the criteria?
Because it says any new elementary school must have at least 5 acres of land with 1 additional acre for each 100 students enrolled, which comes to 12.79 acres. Now, I provided at the last board meeting when they had all that mess over there. I tried to. I couldn't get word in edgewise because it was so one-sided. Nobody wanted to listen to reason.
Are you talking about the school board meeting or the? Okay.
Yeah.
I want to just be sure we're on the same.
That the buildable property on the walking track or practice field, whatever you want to call it, if you do your measurements, it comes to 6 acres buildable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Welch, Sammy Welch, threw in there that it was 9.3. Well, either he don't know how to read maps, or again, I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt of being incompetent. Is that's 9.3 counts your auditorium plus the parking lot for your auditorium and that gray building, metal building down below there.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you take those out, unless you want to tear your auditorium down and build it somewhere else, that still gives you 6 acres. Now, Mr. Berry was there and was willing to donate I think it's 4.3 or 4.6 acres of flood zone land, and that's if you buy his houses at appraised price, tear them down at your expense or move them, and then he would donate the I'm gonna say 4.6. I can't remember 4.3 or 4.6 acres. Well, if you do the math, like I say, I'm not very educated, but if you do the math, 6 acres and 4.6 does not come to 12.79. Now, why that was even considered, like I say, it's not really their fault. The people that was at the board meeting, along with the board members, did not have this information.
They didn't even know. They didn't know.
They could have had a year and a half ago.
Right.
But, you know, I tried to, when I go to something like this or go to the board meeting like I did at that board meeting, was bring them actual maps, actual flood zone maps, but they didn't want to hear it. You know, it was just ugly. You know, I seen it was so one-sided, I sat down because it didn't have, but before you go into some meeting like that that's going to decide the fate of the community way after we gone, please don't go there and shoot from the hip. Have your information ready.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Can you build a one criticism or comment that I had heard even with in town that you can't build a 2-story or 3-story elementary? Is that true?
I don't know. Here's what I found out on that. Now, regardless, that land's got to be eliminated anyhow.
Well,
so
it's
it don't
true.
matter
It
if
doesn't
it's
really
10
matter.
store.
Yeah, you're right. It really doesn't matter because we don't have enough acreage.
That's right. According to the the Mississippi Board of Education, that land's not even.
It can't be considered.
Can't even be considered.
So it really doesn't matter whether
I didn't
they
make
can
this
build.
policy. You know, this is the State Board of Education made this policy.
So it really doesn't matter if you can or can't build one
No
because
sense
it's not.
talking about it. That's what
Really,
I'm saying.
you're right.
Shouldn't have been at that meeting talking about it. Had you done your homework?
You're right. You're right. If it's doesn't meet the criteria, then it doesn't need to be even discussed.
Well, that's kind of like I said. You know, going over here and fly by night and playing big shot or whatever you want to call it, or being in control. You know, I hate it for the ladies that was there. Some real good ladies, women, and I don't know them, but they've been had. You know, by the long arm of politics. You know, do your homework.
Well, one other thing that I don't quite understand, Chris, and why do they not want to buy your land? I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Politics. I can't get. I've got proof of it. I can't go on, I'm not gonna go on here and say, stuff that I cannot prove. But I can assure you it's politics.
Because you're,
And so
basically your side.
we're gonna decide something that's gonna be there for minimum 50 years over politics.
It's scary. It's scary. And I think too that it shows so many places that not only did, we could say our school board, if we want to say, or our leader there failed, is that too, we failed. Magee News failed because we didn't get you this. This is out now, but this is out 2 years too late, so to speak, of wasted time. Year and a half of wasted time because homework wasn't done. Because homework wasn't done.
Well, I keep saying I get on you, and I know a lot, and the paper. We only have one hard copy paper in this county. Some people live out of the county. That's the only thing they read, Then some people choose to go to your site online. But in my opinion, in the system we have, and y'all have an obligation to report the news correctly and fully and factually, meaning that you get 101 in journalism. When I looked it up on the dictionary, is you always get both sides of the story.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not getting both sides of the story, that's the reason we're in the shape we're in. For a year and a half, Mr. Brown over there has elected either not to do his homework and get this information, or maybe for political reasons. I don't know. You have to ask him that. But for a year and a half, he's been dogging out the board and dogging out this and board member that I'm kin to somebody, and they getting. For example, he puts in the paper that nepotism, meaning political favors for your kin, and he keep harping on me and Larry Cockle being kin. And I said in the first interview, Larry had nothing to do with this, nothing. But now we've lost a good board member, an educated board member, that spent 14 years of his life for $200 a month giving this. And what do we got now? We got one we can't even prove he's got a high school diploma. On the Board of Education.
Well, you're right. I mean, you're right.
So,
and I'm
let's
let's
quit all this and put people in office or make decisions based on facts. And we in sad shape in this county if we can't decide where by the facts to put a school a year and a half later. That should have been reported. Now, to his credit, the guy that did find this. That's what journalism is.
He did an excellent job.
Why it took a year and a half, I guess ask Mr. Brown.
Well, it's excellent. The reporter did an excellent job on this. I agree with you. I think we still, all of us, struggle with the fact that we weren't given the facts. I mean, but I think in my situation is I feel bad because I didn't seek the facts. I took what anybody said. I can make any excuse I want to and say whatever. That's the bottom line. I didn't do it.
Well, getting back on that, I mean, what I was saying about him, for an example, of me and Mr. Cockle be a kin. Well, when I questioned him about it, went down to his office and questioned him about it, I said, why do you keep putting this in here? And his answer to me, and I quote, was, well, I've heard it from 1,500 people or more, so I just assumed. Mr. Brown, it's not your job to assume. Your job would have been simply to call the two people that you're reporting on and say, are y'all kin? End the story.
Good lesson for me. Good lesson for me too. This is not a call out or a criticism of the paper, the me, or what. Well, yes, it is too. It's a both of us. I guess what I know. I just like it to always be kind of nice and fluff it up and make it okay, and it's not okay because it does show that I dropped the ball. We all dropped the ball, but with the ball being picked back up, and we know now from this information that Chris has gathered, there seems to be, unless that Harrington property comes in, there is basically only two places to build a school that fit the criteria.
Unless somebody comes up with some other idea, that's what I thought the board meeting was gonna be the other night, was come up with ideas based on fact. But obviously it was not. It was too one-sided, so anybody got any ideas, please, let's go to the board, get this over with. This is a year and a half later, we need a school for the community. Whether it's on mine or whoever's it's on, it does not matter.
You know, I don't think Chris could say it any better. And I really don't think I could say much more to it, because this is not for Chris Lane to sell his land. And if you think that's where I'm coming from, or if you think that's where Chris is coming from, you're missing just about the whole interviews, if that's what you think it's about. Probably toes have been stepped on, mine have, but you know what, I can live with it, because the truth is the truth. And when you can stand on the truth, you can pretty much go forward. If you've got anything you'd like to be discussed on MageeNews.com, you just gotta call me. Just be like Chris, hound me to death. I'll let you come. And am always glad to learn.
No, you have me to death on that.
Let's tell the truth. I'm like, well, you gotta explain it, because I don't understand it. But it is the truth. I do want to know, because I want you to be able to know. And I feel like there are so many people out there that know things that maybe I don't know or understand. I hope you've enjoyed these interviews with Chris. And again, I imagine we'll be back with something else, knowing Chris. Have a good day.